Hello and welcome to another tutorial with Beads Jar. I'm Natalia and today we're going to be making these elegant stacking bracelets. Now these are using a very simple herringbone weave, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Let's take a look at what you're going to need to make this project. So here are the ingredients you're going to need for our herringbone weave stacking bracelet. First of all, I have these size 8 Miyuki seed beads in galvanized gold. We have super duo beads in opaque violet Picasso. You're going to need a head pin, and so that's a 2-inch. Now I'm using soft head pins because they're much easier to work with when you're creating a wrapped loop. We've got an 8mm Swarovski pearl, and that's in powder rose. You're going to need a size 10 beading needle and some 6-pound fire line. I use smoke colour because I particularly like that. You can use any colour you like, but also 6-pound is really good because bracelets get a lot of wear and tear, so it's better to have a heavier weight fire line. You're going to need some chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and some wire cutters. So that is all you'll need, and let's get started making the bracelets. So I just threaded some fire line onto my needle as my first step here. And you're going to need a really long length of fire line because the herringbone goes back and forth. That's the weave that we're using. So I've got about 1 meter of fire line on here. So I've doubled it over so that it doesn't get too tangled up. So I'm going to put a stop bead on first of all. So I'm just using this different colored bead. I'm going to be using these galvanized yellow gold colored beads for our bracelet. So leave yourself a decent length of tail on the end of here where you have your stop bead. So I'm leaving about 8 centimeters of fire line there. And don't knot it too tightly either because you want to be able to slide that off really easily at the end. So get started with the herringbone weave. Now we have other projects where you can watch this in more detail, so I'm just going to get you started with it. And we're going to load on 4 of our galvanized yellow gold beads onto the beading needle and take them all the way down to the end. And then you take your needle down to that very last bead and take the needle through. And then pull that tight as you can. And you'll see you get this 4. So it looks like a little square. Now you're going to take your needle back up through the 2 beads on the left. That's your starting rows, so it starts you off with 2 rows, and then to continue all that you need to do is to just add on 2 beads at a time. So putting 2 beads onto my needle, taking them down through the bead on the right hand side, the first bead, and then up through the next 2 beads on the right. So it's always down and up. That's the herringbone weave. Such a lovely weave. So it's so simple and you can do so much with it. And also what happens is you can work quite quickly. So you start to create a lot of rows. So you'll need to measure the length of your bracelet that you need. And I've created my bracelet here. So this is one that I did earlier on. And I've left plenty of working thread there so I can attach all my other bits and pieces to the end, which will be the clasp. So you can see it's got a really nice drape on it, this herringbone as well. So first thing I'm going to do is to slide my stop bead off the end. Just push those beads together so that they're aligning nicely. And even if they don't, even sort of that first bead always wants to go astray, you will be able to straighten it out as you get to the end. So I just need to rethread the needle on the end of here, and then we will start to attach the clasp. Alright, so we're going to do the first end, and this is the loop that is going to attach to the other end where we're going to have a Swarovski pearl, and as the other half of our clasp. So we've got these super duo beads. Now these are called super duo because they've got 2 holes in them. So I'm going to place on 2 of those first of all. So I'm just threading 1 hole of the beads onto one end of my bracelet there. Let's get those out of the way. And then we want a loop that is going to be part of the clasp. So we're going to make that up with 12 of these same galvanized yellow gold size 8s. So we're going to load them all up onto your beading needle. You can do that. Let's make sure I've got my last two on there. So I'm going to take those down. Let's get a little bit more thread, and then it creates a little loop there. And then we can come down the other side. So you need to make sure that you've got both of your super duos with the right hand hole facing this way. So I'm going to take my needle down through those two beads there, and then down through the next sort of 3 beads in on the right hand side of the bracelet. So pulling that. Now what you've got to be careful of is not to pull too tightly. You want it tight enough that it's pulled all of the thread through, but what you don't want to do is to start pulling the tension of the bracelet, because we're adding thread, and what it can do is bunch the bracelet up, and it spoils the lovely drapiness of it. So then I'm going to go across to the other side and go back up through all of those beads there, back up through my 2 super duos, and then back up through all of those beads in the loop. So I'll just do that first. Take my needle through. And then this just gives it a little bit of extra security. So you've got 2 pieces of fire line going through that loop rather than just 1. So take those all the way around. And back through those beads on the other side, back down through the 2 super duos, and then through the next 5 beads into the bracelet itself. And there is your little loop created there. Okay, now we'll come back and sort that thread out later on, and we need to then go to the other end of our bracelet, and this is where we're going to attach the pearl. So I'm going to bring my Swarovski pearl in here, and also the head pin. So I'm just going to pop the head pin through the pearl. Sometimes the coating on the pearl, you might need to put a reamer through the pearl because it won't quite allow the head pin through. Just get my pliers there. That's quite tight, but that's okay. We managed to get it in there. And then you're going to need your round nose pliers. So you're going to turn a loop, a wrapped loop. So turn your excess wire from the head pin to a right angle. Then just make sure that you've got your round nose pliers at the right kind of thickness that you want for the loop. So I'm just going to have it around there, sort of about 3 centimeters in. Take the wire back over the top of the pliers and then reposition them, and then start to bend that wire around the base of your pearl. I'm just using my chain nose pliers to help me do that, because I just always find that you get a better tighter kind of effect with that when you do it. So you could take the wire all the way around, or you could trim it off. It's up to you how you want to do it. I think I'm going to trim that, so I'm just going to take my wire cutters, my flush cutters, and just chop that. I'm just feeling it to make sure it's not snagging at all. And then you can just, if that's got a little bit mangled up at all, the roundness of the loop, you can just do that with the pliers. Okay, so now we have our little wire loop, and we can bring the bracelet in. So I need to rethread my needle onto, this is the tail thread that we have here. All right, so this is our tail thread with the needle on it. So again, we're going to do similar process, a thread on the 2 super duo beads, so 1 hole of those going on there. And then we've got our wire wrap loop on the pearl, so that is going onto the thread as well. So just flip those super duo beads across so we can go back down those holes on the right hand side of them. Take your thread down to about the 3rd bead and then pull that tight. Then go across and back up. Just pick that up. Those beads on the right, and then we're going to go up through the super duos again. And then back through that loop. Just to give it the extra strength of having 2 threads. So then I'm taking my thread back down through the beads. I'm going to take my thread through the middle and up through that bead there. So it's really secure. It's gone across a few times. I'm just going to trim my thread. And then that one is also very secure, so I'm going to just trim that one off there. And that is how you will attach the clasp. So that because the pearl is very smooth, it just glides in really easily into that opening there. And it also creates a really nice design feature, so you could have it on your wrist that way round, or have the very simple galvanized metal look on your wrist, and then that's just like a little dangling design feature there. It also looks really beautiful in the silver. And we've got a slightly different color for the super duo beads. I've got more of a matte, almost like a cocoa. It's like a very dusty cocoa color, but the same Swarovski pearl there. And these bracelets look absolutely beautiful, worn together, stacked together, and that's the idea of them. They're not too bulky, but they do look very, very pretty. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that you'll make your own. So thank you for watching, thank you for joining us for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll make your own beautiful stacking herringbone weave bracelets. Please don't forget to like, share this video if you've enjoyed it, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your feedback. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future product tutorials and reviews. Bye for now.